You'll notice that I have a veritable rainbow of markers on my presentation clip. I knew that I was going to be pulling a bunch of individual chunks from this longer clip, so pairing up markers by color is meant to help me identify which portions I want to keep and which ones I don't. To change the color of a marker, all you need to do is load it up in the source panel, double click it the same way you would if you wanted to go and delete it, but instead of deleting it, you would just select from one of these marker color options right here. Another benefit of having all these markers is of course the ability to use the razor tool to cut in very specific spots thanks to the snap in timeline function. Remember that if you don't see stuff snapping together like this in your timeline, you might need to click the magnet icon again. When working with so many clips in a single sequence, I'll often bring a couple in at a time, space them out, and trim them down before lining them up. But rather than clicking and dragging each individually until they snap into place, I like to take advantage of a feature Premiere has called Ripple Delete. Right-clicking within the gap between two clips in the same track will bring up the command. Selecting it will cause the clip on the right to snap to the left, eliminating the gap. The reason it's called Ripple Delete, or so I would imagine, is because that deletion doesn't just affect the clip on the immediate right. The effect extends outward and shifts everything to the right side of the gap, including clips in other tracks. Likewise, you can find the Ripple Delete option when you right-click on a clip, which will delete the clip and move everything to the right of it by an amount equal to the duration of that clip. It doesn't always work so cleanly though. The contents of other tracks can affect how far everything else in that right side group can shift, so I tend to find it's more helpful early in an edit before the tracks get too densely populated. Now for the highlight of this assignment, text graphics. In the toolbar, you'll find an icon that's simply the letter T. With that tool selected, I can click anywhere within the program panel preview and start typing. You'll see a new clip appears in the timeline to represent the new graphic, and that graphic, like any other image or video clip, can be modified using the Effect Controls panel. Text graphics get an additional section in the Effect Controls panel where you can find options for font, font size, color, and other visual and formatting properties. It also comes with its own set of position, scale, rotation, and anchor point controls under a section listed as Vector Motion. You'll just want to be careful though that you don't mix up the Vector Motion controls with the controls in the video section. You'll see that if I use the Vector Motion controls to move the text partially off screen and then use the video position controls, the text gets cut off in a way that it wouldn't if I just use one or the other. In order to reduce the chances of getting those controls mixed up, you might try double-clicking on the text graphic within the timeline to call up some new panels, one labeled Text and the other labeled Essential Graphics. These two panels being dedicated to text graphics don't include options to set keyframes. You'll still need to come back to the Effect Controls panel to do that. Remember, if you can't find a panel or a tab being referenced, go up to Window and find it in the dropdown. The text panel has 3 tabs of its own: Transcript, Captions, and Graphics. In the Transcript tab, you'll find that Premiere's already analyzed the sequence's audio and turned it into text. If it doesn't do it automatically, you should see a prompt to transcribe the sequence. It's not a perfect transcript, but it sure beats doing it all manually should the need arise. Clearly spoken speech recorded in a quiet room will naturally produce the best results, but if you need to make changes, just click on the text and edit it like you would any text document. In the Captions tab, you have options to create captions for your sequence automatically using the transcript from the previous tab, or by using an external file. The Transcript tab also has a Create Captions option in the form of that little CC icon. There are different caption presets, but I'd stick with the subtitle default if you're going to add them, then make any minor changes afterwards. Captions occupy a separate track within a sequence, set above all the video tracks, so they're never at risk of being obscured or covered by a misplaced video clip. To edit a caption, simply click on it in the preview window. Then double-click to start editing. Like a standard text graphic, additional controls can be found in the Essential Graphics panel. If you want to change the appearance or formatting of all the captions at once, which you'll probably want to do if you are adding subtitles, simply zoom out on the timeline either by dragging the end of the bottom scroll bar or scrolling while holding the Alt key. Then click and drag to select the individual caption clips, and any changes made in the Essential Graphics panel will be applied to all of them. Unlike a standard text graphic, captions aren't meant to be animated and cannot therefore be keyframed. So if you want to feature something like that, you'll have to find a method other than the built-in captions feature. The third tab in the text panel is titled Graphics. This tab features a list of text graphics currently present in the sequence, including the track each graphic is in, the time codes at which each starts and stops, a thumbnail from that portion of the video, and the text itself. Clicking on an item in the list will move the playhead to that particular graphic, which can make navigation easier in a sequence with a lot of individual graphics. You can even edit the text directly from this list. Just double-click the text preview. Moving over to the Essential Graphics panel itself, you'll see that we've got a preview of the text and some options like those found in the Effect Controls tab, but without the ability to create keyframes, like I've said. Selecting the text within the preview window will reveal a lot more options. There's options to change the text alignment within the frame, there are those transformation options again, you'll find font, font style, font size, etc. But you can also find options to change the fill color of the text, the stroke color and its size, the background, should you want to help the text stand out from the clips behind it, as well as its drop shadow, another way to help them stand out. Notice how much easier my graphics are to read when I have a background behind them. And since they're tied to the text, I only have one clip to worry about, rather than having both a text graphic and a background graphic that I have to individually move around. Back at the top of the panel, you'll see that I'm currently working in the Edit menu. There's another next to it called Browse, which presents you with a selection of animation templates that you can drag and drop into your sequence. Make sure My Templates is selected rather than Adobe Stock. The latter requires a separate subscription to have full access, and there's already quite a few to choose from in the My Template section. I could go and scroll through all of them, or I could go to the little search bar and look up one that I've used before. I'll click and drag it into my sequence, then, if I select it, you'll see that the Edit menu lists 3 layers. A pair of shape layers, those bars above and below the text, and the text itself. I can select any of them to make whatever adjustments I want to them, but the main thing is that I can go in and edit the text to suit my needs. Notice how the bars expand to fit the new text. That's one of the benefits of working with a pre-made template. Again, this would be way more cumbersome if I had to do all of this using 3 individual graphics. If you like a particular template, there's a small star icon in the corner of its listing in the Browse menu. Clicking on the star next to the search bar will call up any templates you've marked this way. And that should really do it for this guide. The open-ended nature of this assignment doesn't really loan itself to a step-by-step guide, so I thought it better to show you the tools and how you can use them and let you work out the rest on your own. The next assignment, which happens to be the last one, is a bit more involved, so if the lack of specific instructions worried you a bit on this assignment, the last assignment's got you covered. Remember to review the assignment criteria and make sure you've got everything covered. That includes the music track as well as the music credit there at the end. If you need a refresher on audio controls, see the guide from the previous assignment. Don't forget about the timeline screenshot and the proper file names, and be sure to complete and submit the 3rd quiz. Once all that's taken care of, I suggest you check out the shared Google Drive folder and start looking at the available scripts for the final assignment, in which you'll be replicating a TV news story.